speakers setting up. If y'all like, I can tell you guys a side of the story if you'd like to hear it. Let's see. Well, back when I just got into this in 2009 or 2010, wasn't too long after one of the conferences. I was back up in my research area, and I was going up to the old bluegrass grounds that had been abandoned for a while. And when I went up there, I was kind of wanting to check that area out because I found prints back in there before. And it's an area I call the marker area because when you go in there, you start seeing a lot of these tree formations where trees have been bowed over and X'd together, crossing. I've got a photo of a teepee structure that was about 30 feet tall in there. And when I went in there, every time I go in there, I kind of get the EBGBs. But when I went in there that day, I was looking around, I heard something moving in there, and I assumed I had some small critters in there with me. Wasn't quite the case. I hear this loud crack, and I turn around just in time to see a big chunk of wood come sailing at me. And I don't know if it missed me on purpose or if it's just because I fell flat on my butt. But I got back up and I hightailed it out of there. And as I'm running back down the bottom, I turn around and I look back in there in the tree line. The trees kind of hide a pond from view in this area, and most of the year it's dry, but during the spring it's full of water. And as I look back towards the pond down, there's this huge shape rocking back and forth, moving back down in there. And I actually took a snapshot of it, but it's too blurry to get a lot of detail out. And I go home, I'm scared out of my mind. I get just about to get calmed down. I'm telling them about it on the forum, and an old buddy of mine shows up. They brought down there a sandwich, and he was kind of worried when he seen how shook up I was. He's sitting there telling me that, you know, well, I can stay going. No, I think I'm fine. He leaves, and about 20 minutes later, I hear the dogs start raising Cain. And then all of a sudden it goes dead silent. The dogs, which at that time it was 2 German Shepherds and a pit bull, they hightailed it out of there. They wanted no part of whatever this was. And I'm sitting there trying to figure out what's going on, and I hear this loud thunk on the side of the house. And I'm running around, I'm shutting off lights, I've got the shotgun in one hand and the night vision scope in the other. I'm looking out the windows. And what happens is I'm looking out the windows, the well house, the pressure switch was out. So, well, it wasn't really out, but it was damaged. So it'd run for about 5 minutes and make this real loud click noise. Run and then hear a real loud click noise. As I'm looking through my night vision scope down at the well house, I see something coming up the trail through the pasture and the weeds along the creek, and it looks like an orangutan. And I'm sitting there, I'm all excited, and all of a sudden I see this little mass reach up and grab the door, just try to open it, and couldn't, and it jerks it again and about pulls the door off its hinges. And it looks in there, and I'm all excited. This thing leaves, and I get on the phone with Darren, and they were actually getting rocks thrown at them. So me and him were talking back and forth, all excited over the phone. And I ran into town to get some batteries for my game cams. Ran outside, started hanging game cameras all over. Stupid me forgot to turn them on. And I hear what sounds like World War III break out about a mile away at the nearest house from me. There's a couple of houses down in the bottom, but we all kind of consider it one area. It's family land. But there's no one else down in the bottom for a while. But up on the hill, there's a few people. And we hear what sounds like a war breaking out. We've got gunfire. We've got multiple firearms. And what happened after that is, you know, that's about the time I get on the phone with Darren. I see the little one come back up, and I'm all excited. Then this other shape comes up, and this thing is on all fours. It's every bit as big as a cow, and it stands up. And this thing is taller than my well house. And you know, this rod across the shoulders, this thing is massive. And right about that time, I was actually on the phone with Darren. He said he could kind of hear the excitement turn into fear, because I had no idea what was going to happen. And that was quite an interesting night, but nothing really bad happened that night, other than at least 2 more times these things popped back up around my place. The next night, they started it, and then a bunch of relatives came down in there because they got worried about me. And then these things moved off. Well, I called a researcher in our group named Rob. We call him Big Head. This guy is bigger than me. And we go up there on the hill. We go up on the hill, and the dogs go with us. Well, they were all over the place, down in the bottom. They're happy. We did note that when Mom was out there, she said that when we played some whoops from Ohio, that she had heard that down in there all the time. And we went back in there, and what happened is the dogs, as we got closer to the wood line, steadily got closer to our feet until the point when we got to the tree line, we're about tripping over these dogs. And we're sitting there looking around. We start to leave, and then I remembered I had my night vision scope in my pocket, and I said, well, we can go back up there and take a quick look, and I'll show you the markers. We go back up there. We go down the pond dam. Rob's sitting there shining his light around. He looks over, goes, Jim? I go, what? He goes, what's that? We look, and standing in the tree line, we're seeing eye shine attached to this huge dark mass. And we see it duck down under a branch and start walking down this embankment towards us. And we get out of there pretty fast. I go back the next day, and we discover that the object in this embankment had to duck to go under a 6.5-foot branch. It was over 6.5 feet tall, probably close to 7 foot. So this particular instance is kind of interesting. It's one of several sightings that I've had where we've had other people there to back up what I saw. We saw the same thing in the same area. But anyway, I think Carl's about ready now. Hand it over to him.
Hey, I get the microphone on. Morning. Oh, you turned it off.
Now, one thing that Darren forgot to mention is that I think it was 2 years ago at the Bigfoot conference at Honobi, Kathy Strain, and anybody that understands that is familiar with Bigfoot understands she is a prominent figure with Bigfoot in the Bigfoot community. We told her at that time we had over 200 researchers, and she told us we were the largest Bigfoot research organization in the United States. We probably meant the world. And we keep getting new researchers. Now we have over 350 because people like what we're doing. We disseminate information when we get it. We answer questions with a lot of these. Everybody was an idiot at one time. Okay, my background, I'm retired Air Force. I got to start working with a company 11 years ago. Yay! That makes miniature intrusion detection systems for law enforcement, military, 3-digit organizations for the government. And we learned by accident that some of our stuff is guarding Area 51. Hartline Incorporated out of Tulsa. And I thought, well, if I'm doing it there, and I'm in electrical engineering, I'm an electrical engineering technician, why can't we do something cheap for ourselves? So I started working with it. That's about when I found out that Bigfoot knows what's out there. I don't know why, don't know how. By the way, something I told Darren, California Department of Forestry many years ago actually took some of our stuff and tried to determine where Bigfoot was. It didn't work for them. Anyway, So I'm looking at electronics to take with you. If I only had one piece of electronics to take with me, I would take a recording device. It hates me. That is a recording device that goes at least 12 hours. This is a Zoom H2. It uses an SD high-capacity card, secure digital high-capacity card, goes into it, and that's good with an 8 gigabyte card, good for 12 hours. Might take longer. The idea is that you set it up somewhere and you leave it overnight. And you cannot start recording after something's happening. It just doesn't work that way. We often call that the Bigfoot curse. As soon as something happens, then you think, oh, I forgot to do that. Now this is great, except that the batteries on it won't last for 12 hours. So I said, hey, it has an external 9-volt battery connector. So I took 9 D-cell batteries, put a plug onto it, and I don't think these have lasted many hours. So now I've got something, put it away. Now I've got something that will last overnight. Give you an example. When we were down at the valley at Darren was talking about, we had a barred owl sound once each night. I don't know how many of you are familiar with barred owls. How often do you hear it once? At 7:30, right around just about dark. Okay, we have this set up, we hear it. The rest of the night. The second night we were there, we had something happen about 5:30, 6 o'clock, 7:30 in the morning. I haven't even listened to these yet. That's, you record 12 hours, then you have to find time to listen to it. So, we have it. All I need to do is take it, listen to it, find it, chop it out. Plenty of time. But like I said, the single most important thing that are going to help you is a audio recording device that you just set up and forget overnight. Yay. Next thing, take a camera. Preferably, most of us have good cameras on our phones. That's nice. But a small camera like this is 8 megapixels, runs well under $100 anymore. You can take it, it runs off AA batteries, and of course you carry a lot of extra batteries with you, or you should. I do. I usually, somebody says, well, I need some batteries for this, that, and the other. So, okay, I've got it. But, Darren, you're going to show them the handprint that we took off Dave's later? Okay, I took that. I didn't take it at the 8 megapixel level, probably only 4 or 5 megapixels. But that's enough detail that can be blown up to full screen out of a good sized monitor. And you can see small details. A lot of times your phones on the camera don't have enough, well, the older ones especially, don't have enough detail. I say carry one with you. Especially, like I say, AA batteries, carry them too. Same thing, a movie camera helps you carry one with you because it can give you a better idea of the terrain, the area. A lot of the blob squatches that we find would be better if we could get an idea of what the area was like. Where it was like here, if you just took it that way, you wouldn't think there was any trees. If you took it that way, you wouldn't think there's any water. So if you took a panoramic view of the area, along with where whatever evidence you got is taken, get an idea of how the area is put together, maybe what the creature was thinking. So, movie camera is nice, still camera is mandatory. Also, if you're going to use a still camera, take pictures from different angles. You can pull out more details that way. You might even light it with a flashlight or the internal flash on the camera. Again, give you better relief, better definition. Okay. Now, another nice thing to have, nice, is a parabolic case. This you don't set up. Pop here. This is for if you hear something in the bush, you point it. This is fine. I've got one like it. I don't have the dish with me. It's Dave's. But you can also take off the parabolic reflector and just use a straight microphone. It has good pickup. Now, the problem is, this one is $170. A lot of these small, what is classified as kids' toys, work fine. Darren used to have one. Now he's able to afford a better one.
Oh, I have 4 of them.
He's got 4 of them. Well, actually, you know, spread them around. And it's interesting if you're listening to a bipedal footstep through the cane brake or in the cane brake. It brings it back better. And most of them either provide an outlet for a recorder, and it doesn't have to be big, or you can get a Y connector out of Radio Shack or Amazon.com, it's cheaper, and put one to the earphone and one to the recorder. Again, you don't have to have a 12-hour recording on this, just as long as you're going to record it. Also, go back to the movie cameras. You've seen those extreme sports cameras. They're nice. If you're taking it out in the field with you and you see something and it's already turned on, usually it'll loop back the last, 2 hours? Larry? Cameron?
Yeah, I'm over here.
How long's yours?
My what?
Your that extreme camera.
I'll let that a little pocket. Oh, you talking about my old?
Yeah, how long would it record?
Oh, it just has a smaller memory card. It's 10 years old. I don't have one.
Oh, okay. But most of them, as you go through, when it hits the end of the memory card, you can tell it just go back and start recording back over the first part. And if you don't see anything interesting, it just keeps recording over. And that's fine. When you do see something, then you take the memory card out and stick it somewhere safe. Which brings us to the next point. Darren will back me up on this. Anybody here will back me up on this if we've been out in the field. Never, never, never alter the original. Once you get a recording, video, audio, never alter the original. Copy it and work from the copy. Because somebody will want to take that original and look at it. Oh, okay. Yeah. And how is this, Mike?
That was 43 minutes on 2 gig.
And then it just,
4 gig.
and then it just loops back over?
No, you put another one in it and start over again.
It does, well, there's some that does.
Yeah, that one
I
don't.
would think. Okay. And Mike says that Bass Pro, that was $75, so it's not that expensive. Yeah, right.
You gotta learn to keep your head. Don't do as much of this because it makes you sick when you watch it.
Yeah, I believe that. Now, Speak loud. Two-way radios. This was 30, 40 years ago. I'd be talking about citizen band radios, but now we have the GMRS, FMRS. Very nice, especially if you get the earbud and the little microphone that goes with it, so nobody else will hear it when it starts keying. The FMRS is the Family Radio Service. That's supposedly, I don't know how many are familiar with these. They have three power levels. The FMS non-licensed are only supposed to operate. This is for the FCC. It's being recorded. This is for FCC consumption, as I have other licenses. Unless you buy the $85 5-year license for the GMRS, you're only supposed to use the lowest level. I'm not going to police it. They're not going to police it. But you're only supposed to use the lowest level. And you're only supposed to use the first 15 channels for FMS. Okay. That's all I'll go into that. One major problem I've seen on these, they have an encoding system that is called privacy. Don't believe it. What happens is two radios with the same code will only listen to each other. But another radio on the same channel without any of the codes can hear both of them. So what you're doing is blocking the ones you don't want to hear, which is not the way we should work. So if you ever use one and you go out to a site, whether it be in bigfooting or fishing or whatever, hunting, take off the codes. You don't need them. You really don't. And take off the whistles and bells that let people know that you've released the button. And, I find them annoying. Now, nice thing about these is they have a 12-volt charging system. I can charge it at home with a charging adapter, or I can put it off the power adapter off the vehicle. Nice. Okay. One other thing I have found and we've been working with is something called a remote audio transmitter. Essentially, it's a 9-volt battery, a small circuit board, long wire for an antenna. You stick it in a tree somewhere, and you listen to it on FM radio. Well, you put a recorder on the FM radio in case something comes by. They work very well. The one, I got a couple, 3, Darren is using one, came from Electronic Kits. Believe it or not, it came from Australia. I got the schematic for it. Nothing to build. They give you, send you parts, or they build it up for you if you want to add them a little bit more money. But it's an interesting thought because it's a very good radio, FM radio, and we had it out about at Honabi. We had it about 100 feet away from the campsite, and the radio was on, and we were actually listening to ourselves from the campsite. We could hear ourselves. At 100 feet, that's pretty good. We also heard a squirrel gnawing on a nut over there that was right next to the microphone. That was horrible.
Down the valley.
Yeah.
You gotta make sure that all your researchers know where the microphones are at. 'Cause we had an individual in the group go out there and decide to relieve himself. It was pretty interesting.
Those you can erase if you want. Yeah, that's also something else. On the website, the forums, There is Adobe Audition. Okay, MABRC members, we have Adobe Audition. There are other programs where you can actually sit and play with the recordings. It'll show you a spectrum of the recordings. You can say, okay, put this part and reverse it and try to cut out some of the noise. One I'd like to play for you later that we did, the big fish coyotes. It just bugs me because it was during Memorial Day. I think it was Memorial Day because it's summer. Huh? No. We took the big fish down.
Oh, yeah, that was.
Oh, yeah.
I'm gonna get to you later today on something like that.
Okay. But I used the parabolic, and the insects are just horrendous because it's just over on top of everything. You can hear the sounds fine, but the insect noise is out there and it just is amplified. I hated it. Now I want to talk about what I'm trying to do with sensors. I got a transmitter and receiver done real nice. Here's the transmitter. You can have 4 inputs. Any one of the 4 will transmit when it goes high, when a 5-volt signal is into it. These things are so low power, I've had the same 9-volt battery in for about 4 years. There's the receiver. Operates off the computer. You plug it in, use the program for it. You attach it to I've got a magnetic mount, multi-band antenna I stick on top of my vehicle. And you just plug the computer in, plug it in the computer, and let it go. Unfortunately, we're still trying to trick them into ignoring these. There are commercial sensors out there, commercial civilian sensors, that operate on the MERS band, multiple use radio system. One of them is Dakota Alerts. They use either a seismic that you put on your driveway and something coming by triggers it, or a motion detector. There's also a system where you can buy, I think it's like $40 now. I got them when they were 30 and then they were selling them off for 15. So I got extras. They actually have 3 infrared detectors. Now an infrared detector puts out no signal. There might be a hum for it, but I've never been able to hear it. And some people think, well, they put, here's the hums. I've never been able to detect a signal off of it. But when something passes by, an infrared detector initially will settle in and see the background and say, okay, that's the energy I'm getting off of it. Something comes in and passes between the background energy coming into the detector and the detector. It disrupts what was there. If it does it fast enough and it's big enough, it'll set off the sensor. That's how it works. So infrared is nice, and these are usually put up for deer, but they have some drawbacks too. First off, they're bright orange. I was trying to work with some seismic detectors at one time. Now, it might work for Gigantor. Probably would easily for Gigantor. These are small weights inside a foil held by a spring. They're very, very sensitive to any motion. When the spring, when something jars outside, the weight bobbles inside the coil, creates a magnetic field, or actually it's not a weight, it's a magnet. It creates a current and sends it out, it's amplified, it comes in. We make some that are so sensitive that we have to turn them about midway on our test bench, and they'll pick up fine, just from the fans on the test screw. Nice things. But trying to get something working with the sensor called a geophone is difficult. Right now, it's on the back burner. Okay. Any questions so far? No, you're all back there asleep. So, two other things that are very controversial. One, trail cams. Well, why can't we use trail cams? Many reasons. This is probably the Cadillac of trail cams, so far. Well, it was when I bought it. I'll tell you something, a new development that is that's blowing my mind. This uses an infrared detector. Like I said, it's a Reconyx. It senses something moving in front of it. When it senses that, infrared LEDs flash. Now, normally, these infrared LEDs, taken individually, would not be seen by a night vision scope. They're the wrong, I'll get that when I talk about night vision. They're the wrong frequency. But when you put, I think there's like 70 some odd of them in here, when they all go off at once, it is a flashlight in night vision. It's like a photographic flash. So I'm not sure that if it went off more than once, the Bigfoot wouldn't see it. The other major problem with the older trail cams is it takes something like 2 seconds from the time that it's triggered to the time that it takes the picture. The idea there is they're going after a grazing animal. A grazing animal will just mosey through. Bigfoot doesn't. A lot of times it will just go right through, or it sees this and it won't get in front of the camera. No, I don't know why. We've seen pictures of them, a stick waving in front of these trail cams. We've seen, yes, you have a question? No, just a hand up. Okay. Tease. Like I said, the trail cams, the older ones are slow. And this one is 0.2 of a second. Now the reason they're slow is it has to turn everything on to save power. That's the whole idea about sensors, trail cams, anything out there, you want to save power. This thing will last for about a year when the rechargeable batteries put into it. It takes thousands of pictures. And I swear, you put the trail cam up where you don't want Bigfoot to go. That's strange. Now, fun part. Night vision. How many people have used night vision, wanted to use night vision? This is what I consider one of the better Generation 1. It's under $200. It's a Yukon. I've had people that have seen military equipment saying that this is as good as the ones they were using. That's nice, but still $200. The other major problem with night vision, generation 1, and I've seen it, is when you turn the illuminator on. I want to turn this illuminator on. Can you see a red glow in there? So can Bigfoot. Jim's got a story about that. One night, they were looking at it. It was out in the middle of the bean field. Now, they were looking at it through night vision. Turned the illuminator on. It grabbed some grass to hold in front of it. Why? Because it saw the night vision, either around it or otherwise. I have seen a report, I think it was on Autumn Williams' website. The guy was out there with night vision and watching a couple of raccoons out there. And he turned the illuminator on, all of a sudden they stopped what they were doing and started looking around until they were looking right at him. The raccoons saw that wavelength of light to go what we could see, but they could see it. So you got to wonder if Bigfoot has adapted enough to see that. Now we have tried, so I'll get to you. We found something that helps a lot. I don't know how many of you ever looked at these. These are Jack Pacific, Jakk apostrophe S Pacific, Cyclops night vision. They're about as good as that. They run anywhere from $30 to $50. I have changed one set of the lights on here from one that you can see to ones that you cannot see. Can anybody see that glow? It's on. But that has a longer wavelength. I did put different LEDs in. And anybody wants to know, I'll tell you where to get the LEDs and how to, and putting them in is easy enough. These things are wonderful. They're put together with screws. One part easy, goes back to the other a little bit less easy. Now, that's a version 2. Let me show something else they've come up with. Dave, you have yours yet? This is a recordable. You put a flash drive in, turn it on, you can record what you're seeing. This is a toy. This is a toy for like 50, 60 bucks. And it comes with a flash drive, small flash drive. Any flash drive should fit. And if anybody wants to look at these, pass them around. And they work as well as I'm just aghast at it. It takes 5 AA batteries. Works. Amazon.com. I got another 2 others. They are not night vision per se. Well, actually, the only one that actually is a night vision is the Yukon. Everything else is a low light camera. This is an extreme low light camera that I've yet to get out there and use well. Plugged into a 12-volt battery. You got 2 television screens right here, 1 camera. Surrounding it is 6 infrared LEDs. I changed those out to a higher wavelength. But I also fixed them so that they can be turned on and off. The people that make this have a demonstration. I think it's kind of cheating. They show shooting a coyote in one of the Dakotas on a moonlit night on a snowfield. Anybody who's ever been on a snowfield on a moonlit night, it's like walking in daylight. But they say that this is good enough, you could actually walk around with it at night. Very nice. The only thing I don't like about it, and I'm trying to figure a way, is that the light on the two screens comes out and illuminates your face. Whereas on the Jack Pacific night vision binoculars, it'll actually go over your glasses and cover your whole face, whole eye. Just pull your glasses off. So, any questions about night vision? Trail cams? Yes.
Where do you find all that equipment at?
Amazon.com. The low-level camera is on Sportsman's Guide. They're a sports website. And if you look around, you might find it cheaper at times than on Amazon. Some places have them and they don't know what they've got, especially if they're portable Jack-specific eye clocks. It just floors me that something like that high tech, that low price, they consider it a toy. Now, one other thing is you're out in the woods. You find a great footprint, or you find a structure you want to know. You take pictures of it, okay? How are you going to make sure you can find it again? Anybody? Huh? Yeah. You can either mark it or carry a GPS. Again, they're getting cheaper and cheaper. I've got a TomTom in my vehicle. Actually, I can take out and carry it if I forget this, but I know I've got this with me. If you want to get the within 10 feet capability, there is a setting on it called the WAAS, the Wide Area Augmentation System. That's the one that will get you within 3 meters, 10 feet. If you don't have it, you could be 30 feet, or pardon, 30 feet, you can be 100 feet away. But if you have that enabled, WAAS, it takes a little bit longer to come in. But you're out there, you found something you want to record, you turn on your GPS, you set a waypoint, or you record the coordinates, or both. You know, suspenders, pants, suspenders, belt type thing. And then you know you can find it again. You can bring somebody back and show them. GPS would love it. Now, that's all I'm going to talk about on equipment. Now we're going to talk about my favorite idea, batteries. I told you I work for a company that makes miniature intrusion detection systems. Our biggest problem is getting the power draw on these things down, not to the milliamps, but to the microamps. We've got a setup right now that on one of our bigger transmitters, 4 9-volt batteries can power that thing for 6 months. That's helpful because when you set these things out there, if you're military or Border Patrol or Area 51, you don't have to go back out every couple of weeks and change batteries. And by the way, it does send back a low bat indication if there is a problem. So, what sort of batteries? Typical batteries, the AA. AA, AAA, C cells, D cells. Cover 9 volt differently. The 9 volt, what's called primary cell, the kind that are not rechargeable. We found for our use the best one is Duracell. It has just slightly more current, what we call amp hours in it. It runs about 580 amp hours, an Energizer will run about 500. Now the reason we made it, by the way, the technology that I'm describing that I work with is 25 years old. And the reason they put 9 volt batteries in it back then, because it was just, you could get 9 volt batteries any place in the world. Now we're looking more at AA's. We're making a small. Hello. How many of you know what a Pelican case is? Pelican case. It's a great thing. It's a waterproof case. We've got a small one. We're putting in a dozen D-cell batteries. We make it into essentially two 9 volt batteries by putting 6 in series and 6 in series. Now, I said that a 9 volt battery has 580 milliamp hours. A D cell has 15 amp hours, or about 300 times. 30 times? 300 times. Oh. Anyway, 15 amp hours on a single D cell. So if you put 6 of them together, like I've got here, it's a 9 volt battery with 15 amp hours, or 15,000 milliamp hours. Okay. That's why I like D cells. I'll keep doing that. That's nice if you're going to have something that you need long term and you don't want to mess with the batteries a lot. My favorite thing on that's a nice little warmer. On a camera like this, I said AA cells, I use rechargeables. Because rechargeable nickel metal hydrides last a long time. They don't, the nickel metal hydrides do not develop a memory. They lose about 1 to 2% of their capability, their capacity, a month. My kids, they drop something like 10% per month. So nickel metal hydrides. And then you get a bulk charger. Again, this takes 12 volts. You can charge it in your vehicle, you can charge it at home. It'll charge 8 at a time. Very nice. Unfortunately, my trail cam takes 12, so I have to go through twice. One of the best deals I've seen on them is a company called Tenergy, T-N-E-R-G-Y. And that's usually where I buy the bulk amount of my batteries. Now, that's good for AA's, AAA's. I wouldn't bother with D cells, 9 volts, or C cells. But, I know you're there. The night vision takes the A123 batteries. They're strange. They're expensive as all get out if you buy the one-time use. If you buy the rechargeables, again, you get 4 batteries and a recharging system for about 20 bucks. And you just keep 2 charged. I got 2 of the night vision scopes, so I go 1 there. I go 1 in the night vision scope, and if it gets low, I take one that's been charged and put it in. And these things are so small, you know, same thing, 12 volt in, which means you can go at home or on a vehicle. And they're nice to have. I am a firm believer in rechargeable batteries on AA's, AAA's, and the A123s. And now, one other thing on electronics, because it does take batteries, I love a good headlamp. This one, Bass Pro. Nice. Has low light, it's got green light. I went to an FAA seminar they held, because I'm also a pilot, and they were talking about the best lighting for a night is no longer red. It's green or blue. You can see better at a lower light level with green or blue than you can with red. So keep that in mind when you're buying a headlamp or a flashlight. Other than that, these are nice. Your hands are free. Small LED lights now are just, they last wonderful. Again, they take 3 AAA batteries. Okay. So far, any questions? Again.
I just want to add, we've got LED lights now that take water batteries and actually last longer than the ones that take the AA's, AAA's.
I worry about watch battery lights.
Well,
They can be low energy level.
what I was
just
just
on
saying
customers.
is, I've got some I picked up to clip onto a hat, and they've lasted for 4 years with the same battery, and they light better than the headlamp.
Okay. So the one that just puts on the belt with that. Okay. I was going to tell you also about one other refinement in trail cams, and I find this amazing. We're working at work on visual, sending a picture from the sensor site back to the receiver. They have trail cams that will send pictures to your phone. It just floors me. Anywhere around, you see there's sometime in the day it captures a picture of a coyote or a deer or something, and it will send it to your phone. Ah, okay. Which, by the way, is helpful. Now, if that's... Now he disappears. That's all I got. Any questions? I'm available if you have any questions about where to get the stuff and what it's like and all this other. Kind of back here.
I just want to add one thing. As far as equipment goes, this is probably what's going to be what grabs the most Patterson's GMS footage. Simple cell phone. This is the iPhone. I don't even carry a camcorder in the woods anymore. I don't even carry a camera. I just carry my phone because it does everything I need it to.
What's your pixel resolution?
You know?
Get out of here, technician. Get.
Coming up to 5 megapixels.
Yeah, this is actually 10.
Oh, 10?
10.
That's even better.
So, you know,
Better than this.
yeah, it's just one of those things I wanted to put out there that, you know, if you got a cell phone that does video and this even does audio, I mean, it does everything I need to, so it's a good thing that if you got a cell phone, just take it. So I'm going to hand it over to, are you through?
Yeah.
Okay.